All right, good to see everybody here tonight. We got a good show tonight. We've got Mark Zetzer going to be joining us. Who is Mark Zetzer? Mark Zetzer is running for Congress in Ohio District 14, and that is Lake County, that is Ashtabula, and a bunch of other counties. So we'll be talking to him. He's going up against Dave Joyce in that seat. We got to talk about Bernie Moreno, who was out at the Thirsty Cowboy in Medina, and that was a great event. And I think it was a firestorm, an actual absolute firestorm with him. Brian's with us here tonight. Good to see you, Brian. Let's see who else we got. Jonathan, I think you're out in the car here driving. And is that the cops following you? It looks like you got the cops right in your right on your back trail there. And also, we got the commish with us here tonight with his new fancy desk. Yeah, that's an impressive desk. That really is.
Yes,
Look at that.
Is. An executive desk.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. All right. I want to, a few of us were out at the Thirsty Cowboy on Saturday, and Bernie Moreno was a real firestorm, in my opinion, at that event. There was 200-300 people that were there, and it was great. And I think Bernie is one of the up-and-coming rising stars, although not exactly a young rising star, but he is a rising star. And when he speaks, he really commands an audience, and he did an excellent job. I love the way that he can just present stuff, simplify the message, and then just gives it to you. And he's a man of action too, which is really impressive. All right, here's a cut here. Let me make it a little bigger. This is.
And then you thought, well,
Moron, the next evildoer who hates our republic, will be reversing all those executive orders. When can we start codifying them?
No, great question.
Okay, the question there, and I wanted to just start with this question real quick. The question there was, Trump has put out all these executive orders and everything, and they're great, and we're moving in the right direction. But what's going to prevent the next Democrat from coming in and undoing every one of those executive orders, which they would in a snap? And that was what the question was.
In our team in D.C., we have this all mapped out. You're exactly right. We got to go through the most important on down to make certain that we put these things in the law. Look, I don't want to be an alarmist, but here's what I'm going to say to you. If you thought Bill Clinton was bad, he looks like a prince today compared to Democrats. Wouldn't you agree? Right? And then you thought, well,
that's a good point right there.
Obama.
That's a real good point. When you think about it, the succession we've had, we thought that Bill Clinton was horrible. Then you got Obama. Then you got Biden. And the next ones they put in will be an absolute disaster once that happens there.
Because he was pretty bad, and we got Biden. And imagine what the next iteration of that is. Imagine a President AOC and Jasmine Crockett duo.
How would you like that?
It sounds crazy, by the way.
Moron, the next evildoer who hates our
all right,
republic,
so anyhow,
will be reversing all those.
That's off our X channel there. But let me go to you guys here for a second. Then I want to talk about some other stuff. But basically, what's your thoughts about Mr. Moreno? You like him? I thought.
Yeah, I have seen him live, and I thought he was a good speaker. Certainly seems like he's well informed, and I would agree he seems to be an up and comer. I genuinely like. I haven't heard anything that I don't like about him yet.
Yeah. Yeah, he's really got a lot of good stuff. And there's the commission there at his desk. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Joe.
Hey, what's your thoughts on our senator? And hey, what he was making a point there, John, was if the next Democrat, the question was the next Democrat undoing all those executive orders. I mean, that's something we've got to be a little bit concerned about, right?
Absolutely. Number one, Senator Bernie Moreno puts Ohio first the way Donald Trump puts America first. He's doing great work, and I've known him for years because he was chairman of the Board of Trustees for Cleveland State University, where I'm a professor. So known Bernie for a long time, was a great trustee, is a great senator, and he's going to make America great again along with Donald Trump. But he's absolutely right. If we were to have the worst happen and a Democrat, I really should say a communist like AOC were to become president, every single executive order President Trump has put in place would be wiped away in an instant. And so it's important for the Senate and the Congress to do their job and codify the great work that President Trump is doing.
Yeah, without a doubt. Jonathan, you're out there driving around. Let's get you in here for a second. So you were out there at the event as well. And Bernie Moreno is quite the spokesman, don't you think? This isn't a plug for Bernie, but I just thought that he did a great job. And it's great to have. Here's what I liked about him was that he said, ask him any questions, videotape, put it out on social media, the works. I thought that was, off the charts fantastic.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. The first comment I'm going to make is that I'm unexpectedly behind the wheel. So for the first portion of this show, for the first leg, I will be speaking from behind the wheel doing some driving. So hopefully you guys can hear me all right. But I am so glad that my wife and I actually made the drive to Medina and listened to that event. There were some great speakers. I agree with you on all regards. Moreno was a great speaker. He covered some terrific topics. I loved what he had to say. There's actually one answer that he gave that to me was a little incomplete. It wasn't bad, but it was a little incomplete that I'm hoping to get opportunity to push him on a little bit. But other than that, I mean, it knocked out of the park. It was spectacular. As far as Plechnik's comment, John,
that law that they were so
right or left? Right. Thank you. So as far as Plechnik's comment, spot on, but I am very concerned about the rhinos we have within the Republican Party dragging their feet on codifying Trump's executive orders. I'm hot and trying to codify these things. We, the people, we sent a mandate to D.C. on November 5th of last year, and I'm not seeing that mandate happen outside of Trump's executive orders. We've got Trump working and doing things. We've got people like Bernie Moreno working and doing things, but we have a whole bunch of rhinos who are dragging their feet. And my big fear, my concern, is that they're hoping to try and ride us through until midterms and then ride us through until 2028 without really codifying and cementing all of these things that we, the people, insist on. That's my big concern, and I'm really glad that George Satari got him and asked the question that he did. That, by the way, is the gentleman that you hear off camera asking the question.
All right.
I would give
Joe, can I jump in? Two quick things. Number one, we should have legislation that codifies all of Trump's executive orders in one bill. That's how we should handle it. We need to have Marjorie Taylor Greene or Senator Bernie Moreno raise his hand and say, I move to codify all of Trump's executive orders to date now. That is how we should handle that. Number two, I think that to your point about rhinos, I've been saying for a long time, the most dangerous virus in Ohio is the rhinovirus. Well, there's actually a special event in Cleveland that you can use to celebrate your favorite rhino. I'm not sure if you've seen the headlines, but the Cleveland Zoo has just celebrated the birth of a new baby rhino, and they're soliciting suggestions for names. So pick your favorite rhino and submit the name. Who knows?
There you go.
We might get Kasich the rhino.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I want to play one more quick clip here. And
if you remember in my campaign, Sherrod Brown would go out and say, I voted for a strong immigration law, right, to fix this. But Trump said no. That law that they were so proud of, by the way, that was some Republicans, unfortunately, and Democrats touting that law, it would allow 5,000 people a day to enter this country illegally. That was their big law. That was their big idea.
Yeah, the big idea was Sherrod Brown was all excited about it and everything was, hey, we're going to cut immigration to just 5,000 people per day. Just 5,000 per day, and they were all excited about it.
Here's what I can report to you. On October, after having seen the numbers of September. So here we are, October 2025, 10 months into the Trump administration. Does anybody want to take a guess? How many humans have been allowed to enter this country over the last 120 days? Zero. Not one person.
There you go. Okay, so that's quite amazing there. The last 120 days, nobody has come into the country illegally. And he talked, I don't know, he talked for at least an hour. He took questions from everybody. There was such a long line of people that wanted to ask him questions, and he just pounds out the answers one after the other. He had to stay there all day, but of course there's time constraints and stuff. All right. I want to talk here for a minute. Mark Zetzker joining us here in about 15 minutes or so, but I want to get into some property tax things with Brian and with the commissioner, okay? Now, we're going to do a lightning round here, and the rules of the game are this. You got to answer the question in 60 seconds or less, okay? That's the rule, and I mean it. I mean it. You got to answer the question in 60 seconds or less. All right, let's see what we got here, okay? I'm going to throw this one over to Brian. Okay, Brian, how
Yes,
is
Joe.
the state of Ohio going to replace the $13 billion in annual revenue generated from the property taxes? How are they going to do that?
Joe, that's really the wrong question to ask. What we say, there's not a revenue generation problem in the state of Ohio. It's a spending problem. If you're talking about $13 million, that must be for the school funding that you're referring to. What we envision is a total restructuring of the Cleveland, or not only Cleveland public schools, all the state of Ohio public schools. And we don't believe that you really need 611 school districts. We've got 9 in Lake County, and we think you can have one school district in Lake County. You can have one school district in all 88 counties, and for maybe the larger districts, you have multiple districts because of just the sheer size. That is also been sponsored by Lake County Auditor Chris Galloway. He thinks there should be 94 school districts, and what that will do is that will actually reduce the number of personnel, not teachers but administrators, and that's the big problem that we have. Is the increase in the size of administration. So rather than replacing $13 billion, first thing we would do is take a look at actually reducing the cost. If you actually wanted to replace $13 billion, you could also say, well, we've got $100 billion as far as the total budget, for the state of Ohio. And we say if you want to replace it dollar for dollar, then cut the spending for $13 billion in other areas. But it does not have to be an actual replacement as far as we're concerned, because there's overspending in the schools.
All right. Okay. I will take that answer, although I didn't time it, but I think it was a lot longer than a minute. I'm gonna throw the very same question to the commish. Commish, you got 1 minute, 60 seconds. You got to answer the question. I'm going to time it this time. Question is, how is the state of Ohio going to replace the $13 billion that it will lose in property taxes? Go.
Fat math, the state of Ohio's budget is about $100 billion. Property taxes, depending on who you ask, bring in about $20 billion a year. The solution to fix the delta is to cut the state budget by 20%. That gets you the $20 billion. And we don't have to go back decades to see spending levels that were roughly 20% less. 2022, 2023, that takes us there. So how do we make up the delta? How do we make up the difference of abolishing property taxes, cut spending by 20%? It's called being a conservative Republican.
Yeah, not bad. 32 seconds. Not bad. All right. Let's go to another question here, guys. And there is a reason for the madness, okay? Brian.
Yes, Joe.
The question is, what impact would this have, abolishing property taxes, on public education, funding the schools in Ohio?
Well, I think we answered that a little bit with the first question. As far as the public funding, if you take a look at the Ohio Constitution, Article 6, Section 2 of the Ohio Constitution Constitution says that the state is responsible for the funding of the schools. So we're saying to the state legislators, roll up your sleeves and start to follow the Ohio Constitution, something that you've been ignoring for years.
Okay. Okay, very good. Now you guys could talk a little bit longer if you want to, because that was only about 20 seconds, but that's okay. There's a reason to this madness. Let me go to John Poleshnik here. John, are you ready?
Absolutely.
Okay, 60 seconds or less. Do we have to increase sales tax and income taxes in order to offset the loss in property tax revenue?
Absolutely not. As Brian said, we don't have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem. The state of Ohio adopted the state sales tax back in the 1930s for two reasons, principally, to fund public schools and local government. We then adopted the state income tax for much the same reason. But as year after year after year after year goes by, the state keeps more and more of the money and delivers less and less of it to local governments. We saw that trend accelerate under the ultimate rhino, if you can even call him that, Governor John Kasich. And you see Columbus keeping more and more of the money. It's like a miniature Washington, D.C. They're keeping all the money from across the state. That city's booming and expanding, and they're building and building and building out. And everyone else is left holding the bag. It's time to cut Columbus's budget dramatically and keep those sales and income taxes right here where we pay them. It's not their money, it's ours.
Okay, very good. Very good. About 50 seconds. Very good. Brian, let me give one more question to you and one more to the commish, if that's all right.
Fire away, Joe.
Okay, question. If you abolish property taxes in Ohio, what will that do to the home values? Will it increase them, decrease them? Let me start over here a second. Put myself on the screen. Question. If you abolish property taxes in the state of Ohio, would the home values increase, decrease, or would they stay the same?
As far as I'm concerned, it's irrelevant. Why should the state of Ohio be in the business of valuation of property? That's not the role of government. If we take that away, take property taxes away, I dare say that you can actually cut the state and local governments substantially. You may not need an auditor and a treasurer in each one of the 88 counties, number one. The personnel that are actually hired because of the need for valuation of properties would be moved into some other roles, or they would be terminated. And so the problem is that the public sector has outgrown the private sector's ability to pay for services. Look at how much money we are spending with third-party companies that do the appraisal of the company, the houses. We have in Lake County, we paid $1.8 million to a third-party company that controls the destiny of the citizens, but they're not accountable to the citizens, and we don't think that is right. So I'm just saying that the government needs to get out of the business of valuation of properties.
Okay, very good, very good. And I'm going to throw one last question to John, and then we're going to move on to our next guest who's going to be coming up here. But John, the question I have for you is that if we abolish property taxes, how are the townships going to be affected with this, since they pay everything through property taxes?
Fundamentally, the townships would be the least impacted by the abolition of property taxes, because in all likelihood, the state legislature would just extend the same taxing authority to townships that cities and villages already enjoy, meaning that they could levy an income tax for those services. But even if the state failed to act, townships already have the ability to become a village if they're under 5,000, a city if they're 5,000 or over. So every township would just vote to become a city, and then we would have, frankly, a fairer form of taxation across Ohio, because it makes no sense that people in a township pay one kind of tax, people in a city pay another. We're all Ohioans. We should all pay the same. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. So ultimately, townships would be the least impacted. It's kind of a red herring we're even talking about it.
I think the only reason I brought it up was people have a lot of concerns. People that are in townships seem to have some concerns about it, and they just don't understand.
Joe,
the
I've
government
got an answer for
process.
that. Let me have 15 seconds on that. Yeah, I get that asked all the time by our Concord Township administrator. He said, "Brian, how am I going to pay for police and fire?" And I said, "Very easy, Andy. Just send me a bill. Just don't tie it to my house." What I don't understand, what the elected officials, why they don't understand that home ownership is the foundation of our freedom and liberty. We are trying to save freedom and liberty for not only this generation, but for future generations. They have the ability, the townships have the ability right now, if, to send a bill for EMS services. I think that's in the Ohio Revised Code. So if they don't want to become a city for whatever reason, then you come up with a system that they're going to send us a bill for police, fire, roads, and bridges. Because when you think about it, what does the value of my home have to do with me paying for police or paying for roads? If they want to charge me for the fire department, will do it on square footage of my home. But you don't have to spend the millions, if not quarter of a billion, in valuation of properties throughout the state of Ohio. I don't understand why the need for that. If we're going to pay for local services, it's just not going to be tied to our home. And that's what the township trustees and administrators have to understand. It's my home. The government doesn't have the right to foreclose on it.
There you go. Very good. Very good. Excellent.
Hey, Joe.
Very good on that.
If Mark's not sitting on standby, I've got something to add.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Sorry, there's no actual visual here. I'm driving at night in the car, but hear me out on this. When we talk about the amount of taxes due, and people bring up the prospect of replacing the amount that we currently pay, for me, the starting point, I've said this before in a number of different episodes, is what we pay for schools. Schools makes a very good starting point because it's front of mind for most people, and on average, it represents about 60% of what we pay in property taxes goes toward schools. So when we pull things like the Academic Accountability Project and can show schools like Wycliffe recently spending over $32,000 per pupil for a school year, and then we can, of course, offset that with the horrible results. They're at about 50% proficiency in Wycliffe schools, or schools like Cleveland Municipal, where we've got about 40 to 44,000, and then add in. Keep in mind that's not even the total picture. The actual figure, the actual cost per pupil in school districts is always north of that, because we have to factor in the Educational Service Center, or ESC for short. So figure whatever your school district is, if it's 20,000 and you think, oh, that's reasonable because Cleveland Municipal is twice that, keep in mind that we're talking about statewide figures and the collection of statewide funds, and whatever number you see for your school district is never actually the complete total. So in that regard, it became preposterous a decade ago, the amount of money that we spend on this. So therefore, I'm completely with Plechnik. The answer is in cutting spending.
So, Joe, if I could follow off on that thought, we are well past the point. We are well past the point where there is a relationship between spending and quality of education. Maybe the first $5,000 or $10,000 per student, more money equals better education. At this point, there's no correlation. some of the districts that spend the most money have the worst outcomes for students. So when you hear, what if we cut spending in public schools? What about the children? The truth is, if we spent less money and got rid of the bureaucrats who are getting between the students and their teachers, who are getting between real education and students because they're imposing so much bureaucracy and indoctrination, we'd actually improve education. More money does not equal better education. We know for a fact we used to do it much better with much less. The giant bureaucracy of modern education is not serving our students. And beyond that, we already know that the simplest fix to cut enormous amounts of overhead is just to combine school districts, not to combine sports teams, not to change the names of schools. Wycliffe Blue Devils can stay Wycliffe Blue Devils forever. Kirtland Hornets can stay Kirtland Hornets forever. But there's an army of principals and assistant superintendents and curricular directors who teach nothing, do nothing, make nothing, and ultimately detract from the educational experience. If you really care about our children, you gotta fire those people and go back to basics, reading, writing, arithmetic. For God's sake, we're graduating kids that can't read.
Right. I got you. No, I'm with you guys 100% on all that. Yeah, there's just the bloated budgets with the school system and everything is just off the charts. So we've got to do something. And besides that, as we've been preaching, you have people losing their homes, seniors losing their homes because they can't afford anything once they get on Social Security. And it's
and
a
Joe,
mess.
I have to point
mess.
this out. On the point of seniors losing their homes, this is critical to understand. Our state legislature has all the tools at their disposal to address that issue now, today, immediately. They can hold an emergency session and a vote today to prevent any senior from ever being taxed out of their home again. The cost of exempting all seniors, everyone 65 years and older in the great state of Ohio, with no income limits, no value limits, no limits at all. The cost of exempting all seniors 100% from property taxes is less than 3%, folks, less than 3% of the state budget. That's less than the inflation adjustment. That's less than the inflation adjustment these people give themselves for raises. It's time to stop this nonsense. You do not get to say you're for property tax reform when you won't even give up less than 3% of your budget to save our seniors.
That's right. That is right. I got you there. We got to bring on our next guest here, Mark Zetzer. How are you, Mark? Salute to you, man. I feel like I got to salute you after watching your video and everything. It's like you're out there on the beach. We're going to play that here in a second. So you're going to run for Congressional District 14, it sounds like. So congratulations on that. Let me just see here. It says that you're a former Shaker Heights tax fighter, GOP nominee in Ohio's 11th Congressional District. That's what you were running for previously. Zetzer announced his candidacy for Congress in a striking video, which we have to play. He hoists a War of 1812 battle flag above the breezy Lake Erie beach and speaks metaphorically about fighting for America first. So what gave you the idea of this? And let me put this up here for a second. That is you out there. I really think it's a clever idea. So you're out there on the beach, and you got a flag, and you're going to hoist everything. What was the idea? What was the idea behind that? How did that come to mind?
Well, originally, the midterm in the 2026 being the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, I'm looking for a kind of original principles theme. And then as I'm approaching announcement, I realized, we're approaching on September 10th, and that's the anniversary of the Battle of Lake Erie. And the Don't Give Up the Ship slogan is very similar to me as Don't Tread on Me. And so I thought, wow, that's going to be real dramatic. You know, it's a good time of the year to be on the beach. You can get a nice breeze. You can catch the wind. It'll lift up the flag. It'll be very dramatic. I was out there actually 3 days doing takes, and I couldn't get everything to come together. I couldn't get it all to come together. The wind, the waves, the lighting, the sound, everything. And finally, I got one good take, and then the sun dipped below the clouds, and I flubbed my lines. I don't know if you could tell. Could you tell I flubbed my lines a little bit?
Now let's play this here a second. Let's play a little bit of it here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Republican Mark Zetzer, and I'm at Mentor Headlands Beach. Across Lake Erie is Canada. And to the south is Ohio's 14th Congressional District.
Let's talk about that a second.
I'm here to remember.
Since that is what you're going after, this 14th Congressional District here. You got Lake County, Ashtabula, right along the lake there, which is really nice, and that's you're out there along the beach, which is part of it. Geauga, Trumbull, and Portage County. So you kind of got everything. You got some city life, you got the suburban life, and you've got some rural, definitely some rural territory in there as well. But that's a nice area, that District 14. I love that.
I'm here to remember this day when the American Navy defeated and captured the British fleet in the Battle of Lake Erie.
So the Battle of Lake Erie, which again, I kind of like, it's hard to realize that we had a battle right there on Lake Erie, like right around Put-in Bay, those islands, right? It's kind of amazing. I think we forget about that, but yeah, there was an actual battle that was taking place on Lake
The nearby town of Perry, Ohio, is named after Commodore Oliver Hazard Perry, who led the American sailors to victory in the War of 1812.
So you had to do three.
Their
takes
courage
on
and
that.
sacrifice can inspire us today in our own.
You had to do 3 takes
3
in
days.
right there on the beach with the microphone and all that kind of stuff, and
Principal photography, 3 different days.
3 different days, huh? I'll play a little
War
more.
of Independence.
I think the
The
background is really
feds in Washington, D.C. tax and control nearly everything we do. And American families, like mine, can barely get by.
and the waves and everything. It's a really cool video and everything. I don't know if you guys, I don't know if you ever saw that before, Brian. That's pretty cool. The way he's
No,
got that,
I've never
holding
seen
that
that.
flag and everything like that. Yeah, but now,
I'd say welcome, Mark,
yeah,
and
Thank you.
good luck in that race. I do have some questions, though.
go ahead.
Mark, how long have you lived in the area?
About 6 years. Mainly raised my family in Shaker Heights in Cuyahoga County. Was there about 25 years. Finally got taxed out and had to leave. I actually tried to run as a conservative, and got into politics beginning in 2012, and then ended up not only running the taxpayers group, but getting nominated for city council, and then nominated for Congress. And 2 years later, and I obviously couldn't win that race, but at least the Republicans had a candidate. The year before, the cycle before, they had none. And I'm like, why are Republicans abandoning the urban areas and the inner suburbs? They're the ones with the solutions, cut taxes and regulations. And we were battling the property taxes back then, and we never thought of the brilliant idea, hey, why don't we just get rid of this property tax altogether? We were just playing defense, I mean, every levy in Shaker is an increase. And every 2 years they got a new levy. And so being lower middle class, we were just being taxed out of our home. And I had to become political just to get involved. And boy, I immediately got hit with a cease and desist letter from the Shaker Heights City Law Department. I'm like, wow, I didn't expect this. But
And that was for
yeah,
you
good
speaking
point.
out against property taxes, huh?
well, actually, the first issue was an income tax increase. But then the next one was property tax, 2 property tax issues, school and library, and then the city council. I'm by far the only conservative out of 5 candidates, and they're running people against me, and it's just ridiculous. And they keep losing population, they keep losing businesses. I don't know. It's all funded by tax. So much of it's funded by taxpayer money.
Shaker's the worst, right up there with Cleveland Heights, where I'm at. Cleveland Heights is too. It's just, it's crazy. It's crazy out there. I'm bringing the commish here, John Pleshnik. He's part of your district there. He's a Lake County commissioner, so he's part of District 14. And he knows a lot about running for office. So, what's your thoughts, John, or any questions?
Well, I personally prefer a certain John Wick parody, although it was a fun video.
Maybe that'll be the next one.
Have to dig that one up. Yeah, he did do a John Wick parody. It was very good. Right.
Oh, you did, John?
Yes, indeed.
John Pleshnik did. Yeah. I'll have to dig that up. Have to dig it up, and we'll play it.
That's great.
Let me ask you a question, Mark. When you're going up against Dave Joyce, and so how would you compare and contrast yourself with Dave Joyce? What is some of the shortfallings for him that you would feel that people should be voting for you?
He's one of the least conservative Republicans in the House. His voting record is maybe half the time he'll vote with conservatives and with Republicans. And I announced an exploratory committee in April, and actually went out to all 5 counties and talked to people. And most people are disappointed in Dave Joyce, and it's a resigned disappointment because they don't think anybody can challenge him. A friend and family lawyer, Matt Lynch, challenged him twice when Joyce got back in. It was like 2014, 2016. Matt Lynch and I are actually candidates together during the primary election. In 2014, we frequently saw each other on the campaign trail, and of course he lost. I won unopposed, but so I know Matt Lynch fairly well, and I was disappointed that he didn't win. I'm not sure why. We're going to meet and talk strategy here soon, but Dave Joyce is a classic rhino. He's one of the worst in the Republicans in the House. The most recent is he voted against the Republicans trying to censure a congresswoman out of New Jersey. I don't know if you know that story. That was only about a month ago. And she actually was arrested for assaulting a federal ICE officer and preventing an arrest of the mayor of Newark, New Jersey. And what is she doing in the street committing violence? I mean, she's a member of Congress. It baffles me. She's obviously a Marxist, and she could actually petition Kristi Noem, the head of Homeland Security. So all the Republicans did was just, hey, we're going to kick her off the Homeland Security Committee. Why not? She doesn't even understand. She's fighting her own people that she oversees on the streets who work for Homeland Security. It just baffles me. And so it's a no-brainer. It wasn't really extreme at all to just remove her from the committee. And Dave Joyce couldn't even do that. He voted against the Republicans to cover for Marxists. And that's not the only time.
Well, I'll tell you what, my impression of Dave Joyce is that he's one of those 400 Congress people that you never hear about. You never see. They show up to vote and they go home. But that's it. You never know the guy was a congressman. It's funny because you got 438 Congress people, and you only see the same ones on TV who are putting forth a bill. The rest, they got the easiest job in the world. Show up, vote, go home, and vote the way that you're told to vote and stuff. But what about closer to home? I don't also get the impression that Dave's been really active in those counties. I pulled up some information on District 14. First of all, it's Republican by 9 points, which is pretty good. So if you do win the primary, you're pretty much going to win the general election. But people had problems with the cost of groceries, and these are more, issues that hit the person directly in the pocketbook. It's so important to them. Housing affordability, like with the property tax and everything, that was real huge. Immigration, that was big. That's the North Coast right there. You got people coming in across Lake Erie, believe it or not. Crime was a big one. And then, increasing manufacturing and jobs and healthcare and energy and stuff like that. When it comes to looking at the people directly, the citizens in that district, how would you reach out to them?
Definitely get out there and drive and go to these places. I've been to many events. I've only seen Dave Joyce at one of them. And I very friendly, wanted to meet him and talk to him, and he kept avoiding me, and tried to go up to him at least 3 times. That was in Ashtabula. I've posted on his social. I comment on his social posts, and a lot of it's not. I'm trying to be fair. If he votes the way I want him to. I thank him and I comment on it. And this session, he's actually voting a little better. But I'm not here to fight. I'll give credit where credit's due. But definitely looking past through his 12 years now in Congress, and he's had some really bad votes. But I have the time. I'm semi-retired. I'm actually a senior myself, believe it or not. I'm 62 years old, and it's a really big struggle to pay the bills. I'm probably going to have to go back to work at some point if I don't get elected to Congress. But I've got the time to go out. I've been to so many events in the last, since April and even before, and now I'm really going to be pushing and getting out there. I'll be able to canvass. I'll be able to go to political events, public events, and I'm going to go full steam all the way into the May 5th election.
Absolutely. I'll go around the horn here. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, as far as Dave Joyce is concerned, I would agree. I've had a hard time. I don't think I've ever been to an event in Lake County where I've seen Dave Joyce, even seen him or heard him, speak on any issues. I do get his email where, he's applauding himself for doing all sorts of wonderful things, but I think we need some new blood in our elected offices here in Ohio, and I wish Mark great success. Hopefully, we can meet him on the campaign trail and do what we can to help him get his message out, and we offer that to you, Mark.
Oh, thanks a lot, Brian. I appreciate that. Definitely want to get out there, and he's not. My background is in marketing and advertising. I've worked in the private sector for 48 years, and my goal is my gosh, what an amazing bully pulpit you have being in Congress. I would use it to the hilt. Be cinematic, make videos, get out to the public the message of liberty, of prosperity. It's just not. The Republicans haven't been too good about that. The left seems to be the masters of propaganda. But I wouldn't want to push propaganda or lies. I want to push the truth. Hey, this is America. If we have liberty, we have prosperity. What makes America great is liberty. And liberty, the blessings of liberty are abundance, human flourishing, the baby boom. Remember that? I'm one of the last of the baby boom generation. I was born in 1963. I grew up with kids everywhere. And I just don't see that anymore. And I've got 3 Gen Z kids, and they're concerned about their opportunities.
Yeah, John,
I would agree with that completely, Mark.
Absolutely, yeah.
There is we've been saying that on the whole property tax issue, that we think it's a freedom and liberty issue, and we want to make sure that we can preserve freedom and liberty for future generations. And if home ownership, we feel, is the foundation of that freedom and liberty, and our politicians want to take it away. And I'd like to see Congressman Joyce be a little more, vocal. How does he really, feel about this, people being priced out of their homes? I know he's at the federal level, but I'd like to see a little more compassion out of Dave Joyce, for his constituents. I don't see it.
He's done well for himself as a public sector employee and become a multimillionaire while in office. I don't think he votes for every spending bill. I've noticed that. He'll vote for no matter how many trillions of dollars it is. And then if the Republicans submit amendments to cut some of it, usually the cuts are not much, at most maybe $1 billion or $2 billion. Joyce always votes against any cut in any spending bill, so I don't think he understands the struggles. I'm been on the edge my whole life, just barely struggling, working multiple jobs, and barely struggling to get by. Unfortunately, it's weird. It's I did everything right. I went to college, worked hard, and just can't barely raise 3 kids when my dad we had one income in my family growing up, and he raised 3 kids, and we lived pretty well, except obviously in the 1970s, I saw my family standard of living decline, and that's when I also got involved in politics as a young teenager, just because of the inflation. And my parents were very hopeful that they could elect Ronald Reagan, if not in not in 1976, but in 1980. And I actually canvassed Ronald Reagan with my Young Republicans Club in 1980. I couldn't even vote yet, but I was going into Democrat factory worker neighborhoods in my factory town of Anderson, Indiana, where I grew up. And, those were the Reagan Democrats, and he won more states than Trump did. Same slogan, too, by the way, Make America Great Again. Reagan had.
Excellent. Let's go to Kamish. Kamish, you have a question?
Well, I would ask what your position is on property taxes, because I think we need to start putting every elected official, every candidate on the spot. We need a list. Are you for ever increasing property taxes that are going to tax our seniors and frankly all of us out of their homes? Or are you for abolishing property taxes? I think we need to start holding people to account. So how are you going to vote come November 2026 when we put this on the ballot?
Well, John, first of all, I want to say it's great to meet you, because you're really a hero of mine. And because this is how I got my start most recently in politics. And it was against the property tax and the levies. And, our thing was, we're trying to make it affordable. And one of our slogans on our yard sign was, don't, cut costs, not education. Cut costs, not service. Just like you were talking about, just as I zoomed in here. And that's exactly what those were our same slogans. Like, look, you serve us. You need to figure it out. You just can't keep pushing tax increases and cost increases onto the people you work for. And they can do it. They can figure it out. And yeah, there's going to need to be cuts in staff, cuts in administrators, cuts in overhead, consolidation. Same thing that happens in the private sector. I've been laid off, multiple times over my long career in the private sector. It's just part of life. Our job isn't to provide jobs. It's not a jobs program. That's not why we pay in taxes. So I would, absolutely get rid of the property tax. They can figure out a way, and definitely cut costs. But it's doable, and I feel what I've been through. I wouldn't ask for anything more than what I've been through, and I've survived. And life throws you curveballs, and you just you keep swinging.
I'm going to bring Jonathan in. Jonathan, go ahead. I'm sure you have a question.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you noticed that I snuck in here on vMix on our other platform. So I am no longer behind the wheel. Mark, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. So Mark Zetzer is not going to throw the punches, and I appreciate that. He is a fighter from everything that I've gotten to know about him, but he's a courteous and kind fighter. Well, I'm going to be the throw the punches fighter. And Joe mentioned that a lot of people think of Dave Joyce as sort of off the radar and nobody really notices him, and that's probably partly true. But there is a huge span of people who absolutely notice Dave Joyce, and that's the type of people that follow things like Pelosi Tracker. And I don't know if you know this, our listening audience, but Dave Joyce recently hit number 3 on our elected representatives hitting these meteoric returns on their investment portfolio. And that goes back to that whole insider trading issue. There is concern swirling around Dave Joyce and his political dealings and his business, his trade platform, his stock trading, and what information he has when. I don't like any of it. And if you're not one of those people like me that likes to follow the money, I will point out the John Birch Society, New American, releases a Freedom Index. I like the Freedom Index because I happen to like John Birch Society. They're one of many that do this tracking of politicians. Well, I'll let you know that his lifetime score is 49%. If 100% is a America First constitutional conservative, Dave Joyce isn't even at 50% lifetime. There are some years where his voting record is at 37%. 2 years, he hit a low a deplorable, horrendous, heinous low of 37%. That means that most of the time he is voting in complete opposition to our Constitution. That's awful stuff. He is the type of person, unfortunately, that has learned to sort of game the system and schmooze the right people to continue to get reelected. My hope is that places like Lake County retool their Republican Party, get a fresh new focus on America First, the Trump mandate that we sent to D.C., and all of the things that have nothing to do with Dave Joyce and people like him. The last thing I'm going to say is that I have John Plechnik's contact information. I'm going to be finding out from Plechnik, or he's going to tell us here live on the air, how to do that naming thing at the zoo. Because my first thought while I was driving, when John Plechnik alerted us to the possibility of naming the fresh, newly born rhino at the Cleveland Metro Park Zoo, was Dave Joyce. I want to name that rhino Dave Joyce. John, can you tell us how to do that, or send me a message and let me know how to submit the name Dave Joyce?
Oh my God.
Rhino.
Right.
And
my
Well, wait a minute.
I'll
Does
be
Mark
pulling
Mark
for
would
Mark
probably
Setzer.
approve of that. Yeah, Mark would probably approve of it.
Yep.
So, Mark, in closing here, give us your closing campaign speech and why we should vote for you and everything. And thanks a lot for coming on, and wish you the best of luck. And that's going to be a tough uphill battle, but hey, just like Commodore Perry, you just keep fighting.
Right,
You never know what might happen, right? So, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that's the flag right here. I don't know if you can see it. Don't give up the ship. I know it seems, the government is, the federal government is 37 trillion in debt. Gold and silver are spiraling at new heights, which it makes me worry that the currency is in trouble. So these are rough times, and I think you just don't give up. And people think, Dave Joyce has got $3 million in his campaign war chest. I can't even report yet to the FEC because haven't even reached the $5,000 threshold. But you know what? I'm not going to give up, because I know I've got the skills and the talents and the time and the energy and the interest to make a go of it. And more and more people I'm meeting, they're like, oh, great. I'm glad there's going to be a competitor to Dave Joyce. And there's also rumors that Dave Joyce doesn't really want to run another term, and that he wants to be a federal judge, and that he may appoint somebody just like he was appointed. I don't know if you were aware, in 2012, Steve LaTourette won the primary, the Republican primary, and then he resigned and appointed Dave Joyce, and Dave Joyce didn't have to run in a primary as a challenger, ever. He just kind of walked in. So I want to give him a run for his money and use everything at my disposal, every media, and because I have the ability to do something that might get some viral content, like that video.
Well, good luck. I mean, politics is tough. It's, but I do commend you for throwing your hat in the ring and going up against Dave, and let's just hope for the best. But really, really appreciate it. That's the biggest thing. You just got to take action, like you're doing, and if you don't take action, you can't win. So you put the effort and everything, and you just might. But thanks a lot. Thank you again, and
thank you, Mark.
Anything new on your horizons with the campaign, let us know. We'll get you right back on. We'll talk about it, okay?
Oh,
thanks,
great.
Mark.
I hope to. Yeah, my pleasure.
Okay, thanks a lot, Mark. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Good night.
Have a good
Good night.
All right. I have a familiar face there, at least the one on the right. At least the one on my right. But not so much the other one. I assume that's your girlfriend, right? You're not like engaged, or are you engaged? Or is
Not yet.
Okay,
No.
not-
Yeah, this is Maddie. This is my girlfriend,
just-
Maddie.
Hi.
I didn't want to, gotcha. So, so we have Brock Chapman, and you were on last week, Brock. And
Yes, sir.
from Iowa, you're in Iowa.
Kansas.
You're in Kansas. See,
Yes.
I get all you guys mixed up. I get you mixed up with John Jacobson, who used to be in Iowa. Now he's in,
Yeah.
I think, Kansas. I think he's in
Yeah, no,
Kansas too.
He's actually he's gonna be my professor this next 8 weeks. So in about a week and a half or two, for managerial finance. So
Okay.
yeah.
And what college do you go to? Just curious.
I go to Ottawa University.
Ottawa.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And your girlfriend's name is
Maddie Hughes.
Maddie. Hey, Maddie, how are you? Nice to see you.
Good. Yeah.
Nice to see
good
you.
to
So
be
he has
here.
good taste. He's got good taste, I can tell. And one other thing I want to say, Brock, is that you are a pull-up champion, correct? You pull-ups.
You could say that. You could say that. I'm not gonna gloat about it, but yeah, I'm definitely proud of the achievements in the workout industry. I'm working every day to get just meet my quota, but yeah, it's slowly but steadily going. I still got a few months until I can officially break my personal record of 131,000. So yeah.
Okay, hold on a second. Wait a minute. I got to get somebody. I want to get somebody's. John Pleshnik. He's working on 131,000 pull-ups. What do you think of them apples?
Well, I think he should go a little further because we have about 232,000 people in Lake County. So why not just make it an even 232,000?
Yeah. Well, okay.
One for each resident.
One for each resident.
Well,
All right.
the reason why I'm doing 131 specifically, it's a very odd number. My original goal was 130,000 by June 1st of 2026 because that was the math I did. If I did 500 a day or 417 a day for a year, that's the number I'd get to. But then when Charlie Kirk was killed, I decided to do another 1,000 for him, so to make it even 131,000 for his honor. There's a bunch of challenges right now that are happening for like him. People are running, 3.1 miles, doing 31 pull-ups, 31 push-ups, 31 sit-ups, 31 squats. Like there's just a bunch of challenges for the number 31 for Charlie to honor him. So that's what I'm doing. But yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Charlie Kirk for a minute too, and then I want to get into some of your university problems with the woke and the liberalism and everything. But how much of an influence did Charlie Kirk have on you?
Like I said last week, I don't know if you have the same people on it as you did last week, but he was a monumental influencer for me. Again, my mom got me introduced to him. My dad also started getting introduced to him from my mom first on social media, and I started watching him. He's just he's a man of God. He was a husband. He was a father. He was a very good conservative, godly man. Very influential man in the election, obviously, in all the swing states. Specifically, one of his events, his rallies at Arizona, when he was there, that was one of the bigger ones, and that was a swing state that we needed to win, and especially also Pennsylvania as well. But just not just for the political reasons, but because the way he held himself, the video you made of me last week, I really appreciated that. That was awesome. The way he just, like I said, held himself strong, just solid, just sturdy. He wasn't easily broken. He was never broken. That's why they had that. That's why they shot him, because he wouldn't fight anybody physically, like I said last week, and he fought people with his words. Being respectful, dialect, discourse, just like everything he said. It was
sometimes fighting with your words is even cuts deeper than a knife into some people, especially if they know that they're wrong. And he was just espousing truth, and that was too much for some of those people. But I do want to ask you this question real quick. His death, his assassination, how did that change you? And maybe we can get Maddie to express herself.
Actually, I want her to answer this first.
Go ahead, Maddie. How did that change you? His assassination, like that occurring.
Absolutely. Honestly, I heard the news, and at first, I really didn't believe it. Because I feel like you hear someone getting assassinated, you're just like, no way. Like, that just can't be. Like, we don't live in that world. Like, there's just no way. And I finally heard the news, and at first I was honestly just in a state of pure shock that that even happened to such an individual who had made such a big impact on, I'd say, mainly our generation. I think a lot of people really knew who he was and what he stood for just by saying his truth and saying the truth in colleges and universities. I was just in a lot of shock, and I remember the couple days after, when his wife spoke on the Turning Point website, she made some speech in honor of Charlie. I remember just watching her talk, and I just started crying because I felt so sad and so much grief for someone who I never even knew personally, and I feel like that just says how much of an impact he really had on our generation. So it really has affected me, and it's made me realize that like Charlie, I need to be more bold in my faith and just be more bold with what I stand for, and really just be so deeply rooted in that I'm unshakable with the words that I speak. So, yeah.
I got you. All right, let me ask you another question, Brock. So, give me some examples here. I think last time you were on, you were talking about some of the woke and liberal agenda that was going on at your college and how you were fighting back. Could you give us some insight into that?
Yeah, like I said, last time I was on, I talked about that one class I had to take about writing a paper and watching a movie about a Black African lesbian woman and using sex toys in the movie. There was no scenes, but there was just the insight of the act of right before it was gonna happen, and then it just went to a black screen for about 5 seconds, and then it was just her and her people just at school the next day, and it really I wanted to throw up in class. I mean, I was only a sophomore, so that was 4 years ago, or that was 3 or 4 years ago, yeah. And so that was one of them. Another one was just being on campus, being a part of FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I had a girl come up to me, and she didn't like the shirt I was wearing. It was something like Yellowstone or the American flag or something. And she was just like, "That's a racist shirt. Yellowstone is it's not a great show. It's bad. It's all about it's very I guess misogynistic or something like that." She was just saying random stuff, and I'm just like, okay, well, why you gotta say that? It's obviously not. It's Yellowstone. It's a TV show. But I guess because the cowboy tradition is what she was trying to say. That it was it's all about the male, the white male, or the straight white man, and she was attacking me for that. And so
I got to butt in here for just a second, because it's just it's mind-boggling to me. So a straight white male and everything that is something evil or something bad, and then you're forced to watch these ridiculous lesbian videos, and then you have to do a test on it, and I think that you declined to do that, right? You could decline to a backlash for that.
Yeah.
So these colleges, and I'm going to open up for some questions. These colleges are so woke and liberal and everything. You're starting to fight back against that, right? Isn't that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, so what I'm starting is the Turning Point USA chapter on campus. We have about 15 to 20 members, all undergrad except a few. There's a few graduates like me that are a part of it. My girlfriend here, Maddie, she's an honorary member, part of it. She's obviously, she's very strong in the faith and somewhat in politics. She's a nursing student. Actually, to give kind of an example for her, she's been getting, I would say, a little bit of backlash as a nursing student with her conservative beliefs and just not being able to be comfortable in her speech at work. So I don't know if you want to say something about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just different, the age we live in. I wish I could say things at school or whatever, and you weren't afraid to get a bad test grade over it. And it's just sad that we kind of live in that world where you really sometimes don't have freedom of speech, but I wish we did in cases like that. So
Gotcha. Brian, what do you think about this whole thing? It's getting crazy out there, man.
Oh,
in
it
case
sure
you
is.
didn't know. Just the idea that
freedom of speech, we all take it for granted. But now we're seeing in this younger generation, they don't have it in the colleges. Again, when I went to college, it was there's nothing like that at all. You could say basically anything that you want without any repercussions, and certainly not impacting your grades if you did not espouse the what the teacher was thinking about. So we as a society, unfortunately, we're ungodly, uneducated, immoral society, and many of our churches have contributed to that. And I did hear something today where a gentleman was telling me about his pastor, and the pastor didn't know anything about Charlie Kirk because he doesn't read or listen to the news. And I found that very disconcerting that someone that is influencing people from the pulpit is not aware of what is happening in our society. So that's a problem as far as I'm concerned. As far as this younger generation, I just wish we could clone this couple and just keep going. I would highly recommend that you just keep going. You need to do it. You cannot just step back. You need to step up and protect those freedoms that were fought very hard. A lot of people died for our freedom and liberty, and don't give it away.
No. Hey, here's a professor, by the way, John Poleshnik, Lake County Commissioner. So you also teach. So what's your thoughts on that, John?
That's right. You can call me Commissioner Plechnik. You can call me Professor Plechnik. Just don't call me late for dinner. But the ultimate problem with liberal bias on campus, which is something I've fought since I was a college Republican, is that there just aren't enough conservative Republican professors on campus. Just like there aren't enough conservative Republican broadcasters in the media, we need to have more balance. You're never going to be able to legislate balance because ultimately a liberal professor, a liberal college president is going to find a way around it. They're going to comply with the letter, but not the spirit of the law. The only way to actually make our colleges more conservative or have any sort of balance or debate is you've got to hire more conservative professors. You've got to hire more conservative administrators. You've got to hire more conservative leaders. And frankly, there's been a monopoly in hiring for liberal Democrat profs for a generation. And that's not by accident. The communists in the 50s and 60s said we need to wreck education, both in public schools and higher education, so that we can ultimately have a sheeple populace that we can walk off a cliff. So it's not an accident we have this problem, but if we're going to actually fight for a real solution, we need to force universities to start hiring conservative and Republican professors, because otherwise everything else we do is going to be ignored.
Yeah, I was gonna say real fast, just kind of going off of that. That what you just said sparked some ideas in my mind. At the beginning of Charlie Kirk's podcast, I've been listening to this podcast since it's pretty much started, and I work at American Eagle, and so I work 12-hour shifts at American Eagle Distribution Center in Ottawa, part-time, and I listen to 12 hours worth of podcast from the show, from before he was killed and then post after that. And every time he hops on there, he says, obviously, I went to college for a scholarship, or on a wrestling scholarship for 4 years, so that's why I went to college. I also went to college because I was one of the only 5 kids through my high school, my grad 97 gathering, or my 197 graduating class. I went to college for wrestling. Out of 5 people in that whole class, I was the only one to go. One of the only ones to go for athletic scholarship, and that's why I went to college. I know Charlie always said, "Hey, get married as early as you can." And oh man, I think we're gonna.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't.
That's okay. Yeah, sometimes the bandwidth goes and comes. I got you. But go ahead.
Just to finish it off, so I don't lose that connection again. Charlie Kirk said to go to college, or don't go to college. Get married as young as you can. Have as many kids you want, and work hard. Go to church, be in the gospel, be in the word, and just live your life as a Christian